Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever Media Podtour. I'm sitting here with my buddy,
Jordan Ward.
and I'm Tyler Seelick, and I'm a writer for MediaDetour.com. And Jordan is not quite a writer for Media Detour yet, but he has computer issues, so we'll forgive him. But he's going to be more on like the YouTube side of things, which you might already be on if you're listening to this.
Yeah,
which you probably are.
Which I have big plans for the YouTube part of it. Like, I'm going to make it more a community-based thing. I'm going to be trying to do some live streams on public servers so that, like, you guys can join in, and I'll upload the videos of all the funny moments we share together, and just first ever games that come out. Like, I missed the chance with the Division, which we're going to talk about a bit here in a bit. But, like, new games like the Division come out, I was hoping that I could get on there and play with the community, have some fun, right when the game came out, or even in the beta, and just try to show what the game's potential is.
So yeah, we got big things planned for the YouTube once we get some things in order. I'm gonna be showing up on the YouTube for sure, doing some things, but I'm an old fart and I like the writing side of things.
Yeah.
So I've been holding it down on like the writing side of the website. But it's important to note that it's not just a gaming website. It's for movies. It's for music. Right now, it's also for technology, but we're probably going to chuck that until we get more writers, people that want to actually cover technology, because I sure as shit don't.
Throw that into the new age shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's television. So it's a site for a bunch of different forms of, media, hence media being in the title. And it's MediaDetour.com. You should definitely check it out. There's articles up pretty regularly.
Well, the only way I can describe it is when you're late at night surfing the internet and you get detoured by our website. I know it's a horrible pun, but it's just something to suck you away from the average part of the internet. Right now it's in the deep, dark crevice of the internet, but we're trying to crawl our way out.
Yeah, we're just the little guys trying to do something. And yeah, it's like a lot of reviews and stuff now, but once we get more people on board and stuff, we'll try to do some things. Like, we got plans for Media Detour to make it a little different than some of the bigger websites, hence, it being a detour. But yeah, that's the website, so you should definitely check it out. And really, if you're listening to this and you have any interest in writing, leave a comment, because we'll strongly consider it, because we need writers. And it sounds like we're like begging and we're nobodies, but
we're looking for people with strong opinions who aren't going to be heavily biased. We understand that there always will be a bias, but just show out your opinion, comment in it, help us, like, make us see what you see in it too, because we might not understand what you see when it comes to a movie like Gods of Egypt, the most whitewashed movie I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, and it sucks because I like that director a lot, and Gods of Egypt just looks terrible. That's sad to me.
There was a good potential for that movie, but the only problem is they put too much work into the wrong side of the things.
And too much whitey when there shouldn't have been whitey.
No.
And we're white, by the way.
Yeah.
So this isn't us being like, it's not a bunch of like black people being racist towards whites or something.
Like, if you're gonna try and make try to make it more of an accurate representation of like their views on the gods and all that, even though there's some crazy scenes in it, I'm not gonna spoil any of it, but there's some crazy scenes in it that aren't real life at all. It's how they viewed their gods and all that.
Yeah.
But they didn't view all their gods as being average American Joe. They viewed their gods as being from Egypt, not from America. Because America.
America is the best. I watched London Has Fallen recently.
How was that?
I kind of liked Olympus Has Fallen. Like, it was just a dumb action movie.
Oh yeah.
But London Has Fallen is getting shit on a lot, but I actually think it's probably about the same. It was like an okay dumb action movie, but there was so much America in that.
I feel like that movie, like the Olympus Has Fallen, falls under my category of Team America, American Sniper, and just like the genre is named America.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how much America was in Olympus Has Fallen, but there was a lot of America in this one. Like, it was so xenophobic. It was unreal. But, I'm less bothered by that stuff in movies.
Yeah.
I don't get on, I'm not offended. Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, could they tone down how much America's in this? Yeah, they certainly can. But, like, I'm watching it like a movie. I'm watching it like, okay, this is dumb, but it's kind of fun. Like, it's not a great movie. I'm never going to watch it again. But if someone's like, is it worth the money? I'll be like, yeah, like, it's alright. It's entertaining.
It falls under the good action movies. Say, if you're bored, watching a movie with your girlfriend, doing some Netflix and chill, you can just sit there and put that on. Even if you're not going to finish the movie, it's something to start watching. It'll grab your attention for the good 30 minutes. And
it's like the very definition of, like, maybe mediocre. It's good. It's okay, and that's enough for me.
I find you watch it because you get invested.
Yeah.
You're already like an hour into it, and you got that little bit left to finish off. So you just sit there and polish off the movie.
Yeah, that was all right. But yeah, so Jordan, people don't know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been up to, stuff like that.
Well, I'm just an average Canadian who grew up in an outback area, basically biked everywhere to visit my friends when I was growing up. Now I've grown, I'm 21, so...
You're old now.
Yeah, I'm getting older. I'm starting to crave bingo too, which, yeah. Bingo with a side of poutine.
Yeah.
My interests these days are into video games, and not heavily as much as I was when I was a kid. It's more or less a side project. And just doodling around, driving around, visiting people, working on cars, working on that stuff. I like to run businesses, hence the reason I wanted to run the YouTube half of Media Detour. And I have great visions for all for what we're going to do with it. And besides that, nothing special with my life, besides just hopping onto this project with the full intentions of making it great.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in every podcast we're gonna ask like what the other's up to that week or whatever. Oh, and I should take this time to kind of mention that I'd like to have this podcast on like a regular basis, but we have other jobs and we have other commitments, so I'm not sure. Like we're not gonna have like a set schedule now of when we can record podcasts, but we will try to get them up on a regular basis the best we can, considering our life. But back to what I was saying, I feel like when we get to the point in the podcast where we ask what each other's up to lately, it's gonna sound so boring. Because like I'm like the same as you. Like I'm just a guy from like a small town, and all I care about really is like art. It's like movies, games, shit like that. And like if you ask me, what have you been doing? I've been playing a game. Oh, I saw a movie this weekend. I went out to eat. And there's nothing. Like people will talk about like their lives. So I was like, oh, I went on a trip. I went down to Florida, and I'm not doing any of that stuff. So I feel like this part of the podcast will probably never have that much excitement to it. But we still got to check in on each other.
Oh yeah, we got to keep each other in check. If I could describe myself in just a few words, it'd be just classic Valley boy.
Classic Valley boy.
Straight up, lived in the middle of nowheres. Only interested in the old school stuff. I heavily play the Nintendo 64 and stuff like that. And I listen to old records. I'm not into pop or anything like that. I drive a car that's older than myself.
It's a great car,
yeah,
by the way. It's a great car.
We call it the little shoebox.
Little shoebox.
And I'm just very old school with my opinions on things. I'm very straightforward, blunt. You'll probably get frustrated with some of the things I say and why I don't go into depth, but I'm just going to tell you now, it's going to be straightforward and blunt.
There's a dynamic that I think the listeners will notice. There's a dynamic between you and I. We're like I'm pretty open-minded about stuff, like about art especially, but our favorite stuff differs so greatly generally.
Yeah.
And, like, just from, like, talking to you just normally, like, our opinion on some stuff, like, Fallout 4, like, for example.
Yeah,
which not that I want to, like, harp on about it or whatever, but, like, Fallout 4, we've had some fun conversations about Fallout 4 that I wish, like, we would have been doing this when the game came out. Because, like, there will be arguments between us. I'm not saying there's going to be, like, arguments, like, Siskel and Ebert where we just shit talk each other and get mad.
No.
But like, there's a lot of disagreements between us in our regular conversation. anyway. And that's great, because that'll be interesting, because it's not just going to be like, yeah, I agree with you on everything.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that your views are shit.
Yeah.
So.
You have terrible taste. How often do I tell you that in the run
I think
of
it's
a
a
day?
regular basis. I walk by you at work and you go,
You have the worst taste.
Yeah, just disgusting movie topics.
Yeah. But yeah, that's us. That's your hosts.
Yeah.
We are going to try to get other people on here every once in a while, but for the most part, it is us two. Until we can grow, maybe.
Yeah. You essentially got me, Jordan, the guy from born in the 90s, it's 21 now, enjoys the 80s and 70s better than the new age stuff. And then you got Tyler there, who's older than me. And he enjoys the 90s and the newer stuff more than 1980s and all that stuff.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a future podcast, but I will state what you said is true about me with music.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that when in a later podcast. But my music, I do, and it's weird, because like no other art form, like movies I can watch from any year, any decade.
Oh, yeah.
And I love them.
I know that.
Like, I love them. Games are younger, obviously, than like movies and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Any year. Books, any year. But music, for some reason, there's this like ignorance of mine, where it's like, I prefer probably the 80s, late 80s to now. I'm not saying I can't break out some like Beatles or some like shit.
I feel like it's also safe to say that I'm more of a Pokemon guy and you're more of a Final Fantasy guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also that.
Yeah, it's two different like views. Like
we're quite different in some regards, which I think will make for an interesting podcast.
Yeah.
A better podcast than every other podcast.
Yeah.
I'm throwing it down. Right
Speaking
now.
of that, like we probably have different views on like the movie I watched yesterday. Like I watched Ant-Man for the first time. I usually wait a bit before watching a movie, but I'm gonna start hitting them up in the movie theaters when they come out so that I can be more topical. But I like to take a little bit to wait for a movie to be out for a while to understand the reviews on it. But I watched it, had some really funny moments, some great acting in it. There's like some spots that didn't entertain me as much as others, but it's a Marvel movie.
Mm.
They put them out so regularly that they have it down to a science. They have a preset checklist when making a movie that they gotta follow, because they're doing it right so far. They might be putting them out a lot, but they're making good money.
Yeah, this is a really good topic, actually. Like, Ant-Man, like, just mentioning Ant-Man is going to branch out into some more stuff. You're right. The Marvel Cinematic Universe movies do definitely have a formula, but they're so good at it. For the most part, like, there's some average ones. The first Thor was completely average. First Captain America was completely average.
Well, they always start off average, I feel like. The first movie is usually shit. You sit there and watch the first Captain America, you're like, it's Captain America.
Right, yeah.
Then you watch Winter Soldier and you're like,
this is much better.
Oh!
This is much better.
It explains something.
Yeah, like they're fine-tuning it. Now, mind you, the first Iron Man, which really kicked this off, is still a really good movie.
Which I found out, like, with the first few movies, they didn't know what they were doing. And now that they're putting the new movies out, they're putting more buttons at the end and all that, because they're trying to all tie it in. I feel like they're going to eventually tie it into Infinity War.
Yeah.
And just make so that it's just one big web of movies that you got to sit there and go all Illuminati on to figure out which one fits where.
I'm gonna come back to Ant-Man, but the MCU, and I probably said this to you before, but it's so amazing to me, you know, being 30 and like growing up at a time where like the idea of the MCU was not even like in our heads back then. Like some people thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if all these guys were in the same movies, or girls? You know, we'll keep it equal since International Women's Day was this week.
Yeah, keeping it equal.
But it was such a weird, just a weird idea, and we never thought it would happen. And now we're like knee deep in it, and the movies aren't even boring.
No,
like we got superhero stuff like every week, man, and and it's not boring.
Yeah, I think at this point all my wallet contains is spider webs and spiders themselves, because I've been spending money going to see all those.
If you go on, and I always say that this is how it's proof that the nerds have won.
Yeah.
If you go on like a movie site like Cinema Blend, or I think like Screen Rant, I think I'm not sure if it's Screen Rant.
IMDb.
Well, not like a news site. I mean.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I know IMDb covered a lot of stuff, but like you go on like Cinema Blend
anymore,
and you go to the news. Hey, I go to IMDb all the time. Not for news and stuff.
I've never been there.
When I do reviews and stuff, I always check out IMDb. But anyway, when you go to like Cinema Blend and you look at the news, it's all comic book stuff. Like there's like some other non-comic book movies, but it's all superhero stuff.
If you look at it, comic books hit so heavy when they first came out. They were a thing. They're collector's items now. There's whole cons based off of them, and big cons to be exact. So why wouldn't they just let it sit idle on that, and then the moment they realize that they can make more off it, just start printing money, or just start reaching into our wallets and taking it right from us because we're happy to let them do that.
We're in such an amazing time for comic books and superheroes. This year, actually, I was thinking about this the other day. This year is probably my most anticipated year for superhero movies. Like, because it's like my own preferences, because everyone has their own preference for superheroes. And some people might think like next year's better because they're looking forward to different movies. But this year, literally, I had my favorite superhero, Deadpool. Had a great movie.
Which I've never seen the Deadpool movie or didn't know much about him before this. I went into it with the blankest expectations. I probably could not. I could not take my eyes off the screen.
No, it's brilliant.
It's masterpiece.
I gave it a 10 out of 10 on my review.
Well, I will see, since I'm not like a diehard Deadpool fan, I would have probably gave it like an 8.5 to a 9.
But I had that bias, right?
Yeah.
All they had to do was get Deadpool right, and it would already had like a passing grade.
Yeah. At least it's not some sewed shut mouth Deadpool.
Yeah. That's not even.
Which speaking of that topic there too, like I know we're gonna be jumping around topics, but I've been thinking about it. Like the whole Hugh Jackman no longer gonna be Wolverine after a while really pisses me off.
He's a good Wolverine.
To me, I like you say Wolverine, and I'm like, oh, who do you mean, Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, he's Wolverine.
He is Wolverine. Point. He's become Wolverine. Just like if you look at Deadpool.
He's now Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's now Ryan Reynolds. There's no like changing it. Because even Ryan Reynolds has said on multiple occasions, he loves playing it, like Deadpool. It's become one of his personas, and he nailed it perfectly.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was just a brilliant film. But this year I had Deadpool, and then this is gonna be the first example of Jordan and I disagreeing. This month rather, Batman versus Superman. He doesn't like Batman. I don't understand it.
I've never grown up a Batman kid. Like I grew up and I was like, oh, Thor, oh, Wolverine. I was right into that because like I love reading into like Norse mythology and all that, and just reading into like the Wolverine comics. I find they're always interesting and all that, but I find Batman, it's just been recreated so much. It's became the way of Spider-Man for me. I'm still the original animated Spider-Man fan. Like, watching it as a kid, now I'm grown up and, like, I've seen it just exploded with memes now.
Yeah.
But the new movies, just garbage. I don't even want to talk about them. I don't even know how one of the Spider-Man movies has made it to the top movies list. Like, just for gross income total. Because how do people shell out money for a movie that just disappoints?
There's so much to unpack here. This is going to be one of probably many, but first of all, your taste sucks. I'm noticing so much that we differ on things like Thor. I hate Thor, and here's why I hate Thor. Because like Norse mythology's fine. Like I'm totally cool with like
thanks, bro.
with like religions and like I find that stuff interesting. But I don't know why Thor is in Marvel. Because when you look at superheroes, right? They are their own mythology. You know what I mean? Like they are their own mythology. I don't know why you got to put in like quote unquote real God because in there. I don't like him in there. I like Thor, just not as like a Marvel.
It's
character.
Trying to. I feel like with him in it, it's trying to prove that point that there is like it's all based in real life and all that. It's all based off of stuff. Like I know it's a God. How is that based off of real life? But the Norse mythology fits in. I feel like it fits into the Marvel universe perfectly, because the whole, like, without that, we wouldn't have the Avengers movie, like, or the Avengers 2 movie, or the possible third one that they're gonna guarantee make. But I'm more of a fan, like, I can say I don't really like the new Thor all too much. Perfect actor for it, though.
Yeah,
he nailed it.
No, he's good for that.
Like, he's doing the same thing that, like, Hugh Jackman's doing. He's now Thor. He has become Thor.
Right.
He gets to wield Mjolnir, and he's the righteous one. But I like reading the old comics with the drunk, stupid, immature Thor who's just there stopping whalers, hammered as fuck.
Yeah.
And just being a klutz about it too, like marketing it.
And truth be told, I actually like mildly enjoy the Thor movies. Like, I don't like the character, but I still like mildly enjoy the movies. But my point is just, I don't know why this god has to be in there when essentially all superheroes, minus, like, you know, the ones that don't have powers, like Batman's not a god, but they're all gods anyway.
Neither is, like, I can never remember his name because he was never an important character to me growing up. The one from Ant-Man who gets his ass kicked. Falcon or
no? Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess you're on the same problem. No, not the Wasp.
Not that guy.
Not
no,
Yellow Jacket. You're thinking Yellow Jacket. The guy with the wings. The robotic wings. He's nothing special.
Right.
He's a fancy ass military personnel.
Yeah.
Along, like, I'd say Iron Man is, but I don't want to get my ass kicked by the internet. But there's too much of that. Like, you got him, and you got like Ant-Man. Yeah, it's a power. He can shrink himself, but it's technology.
It's like, to me though, it's like, if you have a superpower, even if it's given to you by, like, some technology, you're a god to me. Like, and especially if the power comes after you. Like, if you can teleport, you're a god to me, because I can't teleport.
No, but
I wish I could teleport.
I find a true superpower is something that you gain, and something that can't be replicated easily. Like, the shrinking power was replicated by his nemesis.
I agree.
Yellow Jacket. It's like,
I agree.
That's not really a superpower at the point they, like, even pointed it out in the movie, I feel, where he was going to militarize it. If your power can be militarized, then it's mass producible and it's not a power, it's just a product. It's the new iPhone 6. That's what it is.
Ant-Man is the new iPhone 6.
Yeah.
Let's throw that quote up there as the title.
But it's stuff like that. Like, I know this is a completely different universe and all that, like, in the X-Men universes, like, humans were like just ordinary humans. We're trying to extract mutant powers and find ways to turn people into mutants with the same power. Yeah, everything can be exactly, like, duplicated to some point with science, but you're gonna have a problem with, it's gonna backfire a lot, and it's a power that was gained naturally through the human ability.
Yeah.
Not a power that was produced.
Right.
So you might be able to improve on it, but it's just not going to be right.
I hear you.
Essentially, it's bioengineering at that point. When you don't have to bioengineer, I feel like that's a good power. Like, you got Superman there. Yeah, he's the last one of his race. Like, he gets the power from the yellow sun. Can you duplicate it? Probably. It depends. I think if he has a kid. I think he has a kid in some universe. But,
I'm sure he does.
But
I don't know enough about Superman to care.
It's something that he is the only one.
Yeah.
Besides his nemesis.
I know what you're saying. I mean, I got no problem with what you're saying. But the thing is, a bunch of my favorite superheroes have been given their powers. Or don't have powers.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I dig Batman. You don't, but I think Batman...
I got no problem with Batman.
I think Batman has, like, the greatest rogue gallery of villains and just, like, a great story. Lots of good stories can be written about Batman. That's why a lot of great stories have been written about Batman. But my other favorites... But Batman's not even my favorite. That's the thing. Like, my favorite's Deadpool, like I stated. Yeah. But my second favorite is the Punisher. He has no powers. He was in the military.
He has no powers.
Shoots.
He's a Punisher.
Yeah. I got the hat. I got the Punisher hat. And I love the Punisher, and I'm so pumped. In, like, less than a week, Daredevil season 2 starts.
I know, I'm gonna be binge watching it.
I cannot wait. But back to Ant-Man, because I never gave my opinion on it, and I said I'd come back around. I really liked Ant-Man. The one problem I had with it was I felt it was a little slow at the beginning. And I understand that part of that is due to the fact that he you have to have an origin story for him.
Yeah.
And we're like so knee deep in awesome stuff happening in that universe that to go back to an origin story can feel a little slow at this point. Like when you like watch like Avengers 2 and shit's just happening, it's stuff's going on, and then you go back to like this little story about a guy who could turn into somebody the size of an ant. It gets a little slow at the beginning.
Infinitely shrink.
But
which is a problem.
It's a little slow at the beginning, but it seriously picks up, and I think the comedy works. Because I have a man crush on the guy who played Ant-Man, Paul Rudd. I think he's so charming. Like he's not even in great movies a lot of the time, but I find him so charming that I could just watch him for days.
I gotta say, my man crush on an actor would have to be Sean Connery.
Oh, nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, no.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Ooh, his voice.
It's respectable.
Sleep at night.
Yeah, it's respectable. My final thought on Ant-Man though is I gotta say one thing that Ant-Man does so well is the choreography of the battle scenes is some of the most inspired stuff in that whole universe. Like just the creativity in the fight scenes is some of my favorite in the MCU.
Now here's a spoiler. It's like I really enjoyed the scene where they're fighting on the little Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah.
He picks up the back train because like he's essentially has the same powers if he was normal size.
Yeah.
So he picks it up and he throws it, and then it zooms out and all you see is this little dinky toy train just flopping around on the ground.
It's a perfect gag, and it's funny because
it makes the series unique.
It's a shame that my friend isn't here to confirm this, but literally, like I go to the movies a lot. I've seen that trailer a lot, and in that trailer, that scene is there, right? And every time, and I've seen that trailer 6 times, probably 7 times. I don't know how many times. And every time it gets to that gag, I chuckle. Every time, like it doesn't get old. It's like a timeless gag. It's so perfect. And Ant-Man is a very funny movie. It's not like Deadpool levels of funny, but then again, really no.
It still has its serious sides.
Yeah. Ant-Man's a really good movie. Like I think I gave it when it came out. I think I gave it like an 8.5 out of 10.
I think I got a big chuckle out of the part where they drive the tank into the building, and it still has the keychain attached to the ass end of the tank.
Yeah, it was a very good movie. I'm glad Paul Rudd is in the MCU because, like I said, he's like one of my man crushes. I just find him charming.
Yeah,
he's good in that role.
We just need a Sean Connery.
But he's done acting. I think I looked him up a while ago to see if he still is in anything. Yeah, but Clint Eastwood still does stuff, and Clint Eastwood's ancient.
Yeah.
Mind you, mostly does directing, or pretty much only directing now, but still.
Well, if you look at it, it's like, you still got the classics.
Yeah. There ain't nothing wrong with Sean Connery, we can agree on that.
Yeah, nothing wrong. And the whole, I watched a series, show the other day, and it was called, what was it called? What's the mayor from Family Guy? Freaking forgot his name.
Jeez. See, I don't watch
Adam
Family
West.
much. Yeah.
It was called Starring Adam West. And I sat down and I started watching it, and I totally didn't expect Adam West to act like he does. Just in that normal life. Just not caring, happy with where he's at in life, willing to go to his way to make entertainment. And great guy. He does not give a shit, which is what we need from actors. Not to worry about their looks, not Kanyeing it.
Adam was on, I think, Comic Book Man a while ago, I believe. I might be screwing that up. And he came across as the most, I've been saying charming a lot this podcast, apparently, but one of the most charming dudes. Because, what you're saying is completely true. He was just like, I just want to entertain people. I want to make them feel good. On that note, Tom Cruise, people don't hate Tom Cruise so much now because we're long past the coach thing he did and all that. People just still don't like the Scientology side of him, which is fine because Scientology is. Well, I'm not going to say it because it'll probably come after me. But Scientology is something.
Believer.
But Tom Cruise is the exact same way. Tom Cruise, if you go to if you watch an interview with him, and I think he's one of America's great actors. And you're gonna slowly take off your clothes, but
it's getting too warm.
Pardon the noise that he's making right now.
Sorry about that. Very unprofessional, but we'll just say this is a first off.
Yeah, but Tom Cruise, you listen to an interview with him, and he's always like, I just want people to have a good time. And you can tell, like, because the dude's almost getting himself killed in stunts.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing his own stunts. He's on a plane.
He strapped himself to a plane. It's like, you want a stunt tough? No.
He goes underwater in the newest one, and it's just like, Tom, you don't gotta do this, man.
No.
But he does.
We got people who are less important that can die.
Yeah, but he does it, and I've always defended Tom Cruise. I like as an actor. I've always defended Cruise as an actor. I think he can. I think he does. He's not really in it for the Oscars, especially now. But he's capable of doing an Oscar. Like if you watch like the Born on the 4th of July, like this was mind you, that's a pretty old movie with him, but he was brilliant in it, and he can do that. But he chooses to do Mission Impossible and Edge of Tomorrow, which is also brilliant, like an excellent sci-fi movie. Beautiful.
Yeah. A1.
A1.
Nice.
But yeah, so what else you got? You got anything else?
Well, I got one movie person I want to talk about who's been coming up a lot in my life lately, and it's just because of the sheer beauty of his movies, and that would have to be Mel Brookes.
Mel Brookes.
Mel Brookes.
You always bring up Mel Brookes. This guy brings up Mel Brookes every day.
At work.
Every day at work.
Because, like, nothing's better than watching a rip-off of Robin Hood, like Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie.
The scene where Blinken falls off the thing, hits his head, I can see again, gets clonked on the head. Oh, I went blind.
I'm just checking out, like, you keep talking, I'm just checking out other movies he did so I can kind of, like...
It's the simplicity of his movie and the simplicity of his hilarious, like, the comedy in it. How he essentially does the same thing Monty Python did. Yeah. And how Monty Python, one of the best movie creators of all times... Like, he's got plenty of movies I've watched, and I just sit there and I can rewatch, like Spaceballs, History of the World. Oh, what was the other ones? Robin Hood Men in Tights. There's many of them. And he always makes a joke in every movie about a sequel. And I'm waiting for those sequels with just hope in my heart. The, Spaceballs sequel. Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. Can't get enough of that. He always just nails it.
I'm not as big a Mel Brookes guy as you, but Spaceballs, like it's Spaceballs.
Comb the desert.
Like don't get me wrong. I'm not as big a fan of Spaceballs as you or my best friend, but like I do like it. Like I got no beef with Spaceballs whatsoever. Like I mean I find myself quoting it, and like even when I say things like, "We ain't found shit." Just like
Sir, we've lost the beeps, the jeeps, and the creeps. What do you mean? We got no more.
Only one man would dare give me the raspberry. Like it never ends. Like it's like that's I think the best Mel Brookes for me. But like I said, I'm not like as big a fan of him as you are, obviously. But like I got respect. I mean, how can you not have respect for Mel Brookes?
I don't know.
And he doesn't do a lot.
Like you can never have a problem with him. I don't see how somebody could sit down and watch his movie and be bored. It's something. All his movies are something that will at least give you entertainment once.
Spaceballs was also in a time of I think better parodies than what we get now. Like don't get me wrong, there's some great parodies that come out now, but like we've gone through a period over the last probably decade or maybe even a little more where like people were just shitting out these uninspired parodies, like, and they were just awful. And a couple would shine through. The first Scary Movie or two really were good. There was a couple other ones that kind of shined through, but even Scary Movie went to crap.
Like the
Wayans brothers, they frustrate me because they're capable of such good things, but they do so much bad. Like they did, it's the gangster parody they did. It's like, don't be a menace to society while drinking your juice in the hood or something.
Okay, it must have not been important because I've never seen it.
So funny. It was so funny. It was awesome. And they can do stuff like that, or I think they did Scary Movie, did they not? The Wayans brothers? Yeah, they did Scary Movie.
Yeah.
They can do stuff like that, and yet they'll put up this terrible stuff. But yeah, so Mel Brookes, respect for Mel Brookes. You got anything else? Because if not, we're gonna move on to our
Well,
I'll explain it to the audience.
Can we pause it?
Yeah, we can pause it.
Okay. We're gonna take a quick break and enjoy whatever insert we apply here, and then we're gonna talk about our top 5.
This is our commercial.
Yep.
All right, we are back, and now we are going to get into the top 5 portion. This is going to be a regular thing on every podcast.
Yeah.
Where every week we're going to do at least one top 5 of any kind, whatever we decide or whatever you guys, tell us.
Yeah, just leave it in the comment what you're interested to know, a top 5 about us. Like, for me, I'll answer any question you give me. I don't care. I have no morals. So just leave a top 5, and if we see it and we like it and we think it's going to be a good topic for that show, we'll throw it in after we do our regular top 5s, or you can even leave us a list of regular top 5s you'd like to see.
Yeah, just anything. We'll get to it when we can, if we can.
You can leave us a topic like top 5 Nintendo games.
Yeah, and we'll do it if we can.
Yeah.
But for the first couple podcasts, we're just gonna keep it pretty simple. We're gonna only do top 5 of the things we cover. So this week, we are doing top 5 movies and top 5 television shows. Now, next week, it might be top 5 games and top 5 either albums or songs. Because we're those are the categories that Media Detour covers. So we want to start off right out of the gate by saying, here are our top 5 of whatever we cover.
Yeah.
But then after that, sky's the limit. Like you said, it doesn't have to be media related. It can be top 5 dogs, top 5 chips, top 5 puddles. Although I don't really know how you do a top 5
we live
puddle.
in Canada, so it's top 5 potholes here.
Yeah, we'll do that if we can. If we both know enough about a subject.
For you guys questioning, top 5 igloos we live in.
Yeah,
you never know.
Exactly.
Top 5 poutines.
Top 5 stereotypes that we like about Canada. We'll do stuff like that. Just right now, we're keeping it to media, and we're gonna have media. Media is always gonna be a big part of this podcast because we're Media Detour.
Yeah.
If we don't talk media, we're not talking about the shit that our site's about.
And yes, no one has ever said A in this yet.
I say A sometimes.
Well, sometimes. I haven't said A yet.
But it's normally know what I'm saying, or...
Yeah. Know what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying?
But today's topics for our top 5s, which probably were already stated, just want to clarify.
They were, but do it again.
Our top 5s will be top 5 movies and top 5 TV shows. For mine, the top 5 TV shows will be as of now, because you never know when there's going to be a TV series that sticks to you more.
Yep. And here's the thing, top 5s are never set in stone. I mean, they can change at any time. A movie that you don't have in your list today might be in there tomorrow, depending on your mood. Nothing that we say here is set in stone.
No.
Because things can always change. But it is as of now.
They're not the top 5 movie commandments.
Top 5 movie commandments. That's an interesting one. But so we'll start on our top 5 movies, I guess. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna say one, I'm gonna say one or whatever, and then I'm gonna talk about it, and we're gonna talk about it, and then Jordan's gonna say one, and we're gonna go back and forth.
Actually, I was wondering if we did before we started this podcast. I gave him a movie I wanted him to watch because I knew he didn't see it. He gave me a movie I've never watched, which I don't think anybody has watched this movie besides me and him. And I watched it.
That.
But I don't know if me and him want to start, if we should start off with that.
I don't think we should.
Okay.
We'll get to it. We'll get to them. Let's just go through a list. And we are going to throw in some honorable mentions.
Start at the bottom of the list?
Do we start, we start at 5?
Yeah, we'll start at 5 and work
yeah,
our way up.
I agree.
Would you like to take the reins on this?
Yes, but let me get through some quick honorable mentions. Let me open my thing here.
Get ready for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
go make a sandwich. And we're not going to talk a lot about the honorable mentions. We'll mention them.
No.
That's pretty much it.
We'll give them a thumbs up, thumbs down if I like them. I'm not going to get too heavy into it, but if I give it a thumbs down, he'll probably bitch me out.
Here's my issue about top 5s, and I've said this to him off camera. I feel like they're not diverse enough. It's only 5 things. I feel like I'm not getting out as much as I should. So that's why I always have honorable mentions. A way to cheat the system, if you will.
Yeah.
I like cheating the system. Okay, here are my honorable mentions. And Fight Club, Parasite Eve, 2001: Space Odyssey,
Thumbs up.
Even Dwarfs Started Small, Drive, Persona, Training Day. I love Training Day. Workmeister Harmonies and Tropical Malady. So a mixture of like foreign films and then some more popular.
There's about 2 of those got thumbs up for me because I've actually seen them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But okay, so there's my honorable mention. So let's start with number 5 for me, and this is one you haven't seen. If you've seen this, I will probably hug you.
We'll make sure there's audio for the hugging.
Because this is gonna sound so snobby, but this is like something that like cinemaphiles watch, I guess. Like, it's foreign, it's old, and it's weird. It's called El Topo. It's a Western movie, but it's like a surreal one. It's very weird. It's kind of violent. I don't even know how else to explain it besides it's just weird. Like,
when wasn't the Westerns violent?
I know, but I think this was from I feel now I'm gonna fuck this up, but I feel like it's the 70s. I love the director who does it, but it's just a very surreal and odd movie, and I love I love all movies, but there's certain preferences that we have, like everybody has, and one of my preferences in any form of art, if it's weird, I have a bigger chance of liking it because I like and experimental maybe is a better word, and this movie is definitely experimental. Like the opening shot is just the man going through the sand like on his horse, and he like has this like naked boy because I guess you can get away with that back then. He has this naked boy, and he's just like they get off the horse, and he's just like, because I realized how bad it sounded. I was like, they get off together. But he's like, you are a man now, and it's just like this weird movie. But anyway. I won't go on too much about El Topo because it's a movie that I know you haven't seen.
Yeah, we gotta get through these top.
So we gotta get through these, and it'll give us more time to talk about the stuff that we've both seen. So number 5, El Topo, the greatest Western ever made.
Well, 1 second for me to get my list out. I feel like for my top 5 movies, my number 5.
You got any honorable mentions or no?
No, not right now. I can't think of my honorable mentions.
I respect that about you, that you don't need honorable mentions.
No, I feel like my movie, for my number 5 place, I feel like people are going to appreciate pretty heavily. It's not just one movie, it's a series, but I couldn't pick out one movie for it, and it has to be the Starship Troopers series.
Okay.
Just the animation they had for it back then was it was beautiful. Like, the way they did it with the bugs, and how the bugs would attack people and kill people, and how they had the mindset to, like, we gotta try and make this a little different than any other space movie that came out at the time, which was pretty popular when those came out. Like, you had Firefly, Stargate, and all that stuff. They're all close to the same, but I feel like Starship Troopers needed some special attention. Plus, there's a lot of boob scenes in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've only seen the first one. I didn't even know there was other ones.
Yeah, there's 4 in total. There's 1, 2, 3, and then the animated one, which I find the animated one is actually really good. Because normally people screw up on an old movie when they go right to animated. But I feel like they need to continue off the series or do a reboot to this day. Because with the animation we have these days, blow your mind.
Yeah, here's the thing about Starship Troopers. Now, I've told this story to you, I know, but I can't remember the exact age I was. Maybe I'll go 12. I wasn't old enough to get into the movie, whatever age that was. I think it was like 14 or something. My friend and I lied to get into it, and that was before they would even check. That was a great time. But we went in and we saw the shower scene, and we were like, boobies, because we were like, 12-year-old kids. We're like, oh, boobies. But something that, like, and I liked the movie back then. I liked the movie just fine back then. But what I didn't appreciate about it at the time, was, like, when you watch it and you're not really thinking about it, it looks just like another, like, science fiction movie where, we're going to kill the aliens or whatever. But it's actually, like, really excellent satire and, like, fascism and stuff. Yeah. That went over my head as a kid. But looking back at it now, I'm like, people are watching this like it's just a generic sci-fi movie, but it's not. It's satire.
I feel like they didn't do anything ridiculously crazy with how they're building up the story and basically the lore of it.
Yeah.
But they kept it nice, mainstream, not to confuse somebody. You don't have to sit there and watch it 30 times just to understand like that one scene you missed.
Yeah.
And just how it plays through was great to follow. I don't see how somebody could not understand it, and it worked for that time.
Yeah, and I feel like it's underappreciated.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's kind of been a movie lost by time now. But I don't know, like, I'd have to look up the actual ratings of it to see if, like, critical reception and stuff is good or not. But I like that pick. I enjoy that pick. You did well.
I do have one honorable mention that I forgot to mention.
All right.
Like, it finally came to mind. And it has to be the 2 movies I will watch once a year, every year guaranteed, on St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
And that has to be the Boondock Saints.
I'm surprised it didn't make your number 5, because he did, this guy talks, I just said yo, see, I knew I'd say yo eventually. I get like this is how I talk, but this guy talks about Boondock Saints a lot.
Oh, heavily.
A lot.
It's a great series. Like, the way, it's just, love it. I have no words for it. I can sit down and watch it. The 2 brothers taking on the mafia in the Word of God. Like, I'm not a heavily religious man myself, but it's like, plays perfectly into the role of that movie.
I like it. I've only seen the first one, but we won't go on too much about it because it's an honorable mention.
Yeah.
And we got shit to do. This might be a fairly long podcast this time because we're covering 2 top 5s.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get through these relatively quick. Let's see. See, my number 4, another boring pick for conversation, because this is like another. I think it might even be another 60s or 70s movie from Russia. Stalker. It's another science fiction film. There's been games and stuff made that were based on the book. Like, there's
either read the book or...
Okay, what it was Roadside Picnic. Picnic? Yeah. Or Panic. Anyway, whatever. That was a novel.
The top 5 pick and you can't even remember the name.
The novel, I read the novel. It was pretty good. But, like, that novel spawned this movie, Stalker. And then it also spawned the video game Stalker. They're completely different from one another. Like this Stalker, like my movie pick is very different. It's not like an action movie. It's a very contemplative, like, science fiction movie. Like the director, Tarkovsky, he was known for his like unbroken shots. So like it was not abnormal for him to do like a 10-minute shot where the camera just lingers. Nothing's broken. It's not like today where every like 2 seconds there's a different shot.
Yeah.
Like he was
action.
He would let it linger. And he was really, I don't know if he was one of the first, but he was really like the main guy that did that. And since then there has been directors who have been influenced by him and do that. Stalker like blew my mind with just how beautiful it was. So we'll leave it at that because I know it's not a movie that, like, my next 3 picks will have better conversation, I reckon. So what's yours?
Now, still on topic of movies here. This one will get a lot of conversation going because I've wanted to see your side of it. But for my
I've seen it.
For my number 4 spot is Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. Because I was young when I seen that. My dad had it on his movie rack because my father collected movies when I was younger. And I seen it and he let me have it. But just watching, I'm pretty sure it's Jude Law who plays it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Jude Law. Fly around in an old P-47, which I'm pretty sure that's the plane, that's modified by his like scientist pal. That just, you're watching it fly after these robotic planes that flap their wings to fly, that are just zooming through town. He shoots a grapple off his plane to fling his plane around a corner sharper. And then, he's being chased. Better turn your plane into a submarine. What type of movie like that doesn't blow a kid's mind? And it made such a heavy first impression on me that I loved it.
And it also helps that you are very much into like planes and tanks.
Yeah, I'm a war.
Like you're into that,
enthusiast.
so that helps you a lot, right?
What was your opinion of this? Because I was excited that you told me you're going to watch it Friday.
There's one piece of information I want to leave because I want to come back to it later. So we will kind of touch on this movie a little bit later. But I don't want to give away one of my picks to the audience, even though you know it. So I want to leave one piece of information out. Because it's a comparison between the 2.
We'll do that later.
But here's my...
Tell me everything about it. I want to know your opinion on it because it's one of my favorites.
Alright. I'm going to shit talk it a little. But with that said, I like it. I like the
You're
movie.
gonna make me cry.
I like the movie. No, I like it.
Were you enjoyed? Did you
I
enjoy
enjoyed
the
it.
time you sat down
I
and
gave it a
watched
7 out of 10, which is a totally respectable.
Oh yeah.
Totally
I'm
respectable
happy you
score.
got
Like
that.
a 7 out of 10. People seem to think that it's a fucking 5 when you give someone a 7, but it gives something a 7. It's not. On my scale, a 7 is a good movie, a solid good movie, even if I feel like it had some problems.
Something that holds your attention.
Yeah, like I liked it. Let me just get out my notes here because I'm bad. All right.
You had to write notes about
Well,
it?
I wrote a little review on Criticker and I just copied it onto here.
Oh, so you did a review.
Yeah, on Criticker. But okay. The art design is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, just like the art design is brilliant. Like
I
it's
find
so
that's what makes the movie.
it's so creative, and I love that. They kind of shit on their own design a little bit by like the color scheme is fine, but like their use of like monochromatic visuals kind of makes it a little hard to see once in a while. Like the visuals don't pop as much as they should sometimes. But with that said, I do like the art design. I think like the planes, I think that the robots, and I think that everything looks really cool. I love the genre blending of it. Like I love how it's like a family friendly like adventure movie, but then there's like there's sci-fi obviously, but then there's like a pulpy film noir type. Like I love the genre blending. Like that is awesome because the dude who directed that, because I did some research, first time director, had a hard time getting funded for it because they didn't want to give such an adventurous like movie. Like they didn't want to pour the money into a first-time director who was like, "Hey, I got this idea for a sci-fi film noir, pulpy action adventure movie with planes." Like he had a hard time getting the funding, and I can understand why because it's kind of an overlooked movie. I think it was received well by critics. More on that later. But I like it. Like I don't think I have I don't have any glaring issues. There's not a lot of character depth, but that doesn't matter because it's fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my opinion on it.
I found there was enough character depth just for the movie.
Yeah, I felt nothing towards the characters, but I didn't have to. It was like, you know what, this is a fun little adventure.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones, but with a little more.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was reading something. Roger Ebert, who I love, rest in peace, Roger Ebert. He was talking about. He loved it. He gave 4 out of 4 stars on his website.
Wow.
And he was like, "Oh shit! What did you just say? My God, my mind just went blank. What did you say?"
I said it's like Indiana Jones with a little extra.
Right. He said, he felt while watching this movie, he felt the same way as he did the first time he watched Indiana Jones.
Which I can say the same thing with
that's
me.
That's big praise, right? I like the movie. I have some issues with it, but
what movie are you gonna have?
Yeah, but I liked it. I didn't. There was some wonkiness to it. Originally, I was floating on an 8 because I was like, you know what, this is really good. And then there's some shit happened. The dialogue was a little and stuff.
What parts bothered you? What scenes specifically did you not like?
I don't see. I'm bad with individual scenes, and people will know this.
Was there something that sticks out to you that you did not like?
Not in terms of an individual scene. There were just some moments where I thought I can't remember exactly, but where the dialogue was kind of weird. But there was also times where the dialogue was really good. The ending of that movie was classy as hell.
Yeah.
I laughed. I was like,
photo?
And then it ends.
Oh, well, I only got one photo left. Takes a photo of him.
Yeah. And then he's, what did he say? I can't remember what he said, but I like that ending. That was a good ending.
I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
I like it. I like that movie. I'm glad that, I know you, because, I would never have watched it.
It's worth
and
watching.
It was a good movie. I was saying a bit earlier, I like experimental films, and even though I don't love this one, I appreciate the hell out of the director.
Yeah.
I haven't looked up what else he's done since.
There's one problem with the movie that bothers me to this day, is on my DVD case, on the back of it, it said other movies. So I read it, and it said, right down in the corner was, Sky Captain Catches Lightning in a Bottle. And I'm like, there's another one? And I've been hunting it down to this day, and I don't even think it exists.
Huh. I'll have to look into that.
I want to see it. But it literally said other movies. So either he was planning on making more movies and never got the opportunity.
I could be wrong here. I don't think it made that much money. Like, because it was a $70 million budget on a first-time director.
Holy.
Back then.
Holy.
I mean, what was it, like a decade ago?
That's like $200 million these days.
And I feel like it made like 58. And
just barely.
It just didn't
make
it didn't. So that's probably, if they didn't make it, that's why. And that's a shame. It's a shame that we live in such a world. I mean, I know you got to make money, and it sucks that, like, creativity gets halted because of money. And that sucks. But anyway, so I like it. Thank you for being you. That's the only nice thing I'm ever going to say.
Isn't that like a famous line from like Golden Girls or something? No, that's part of the song of Golden Girls. Oh, no, it's thank you for being a friend.
Alright, my number 3. We're finally getting into something that's a little more mainstream here. Actually, a lot more mainstream.
Right.
And I love it because I know your opinion. The Dark Knight. Which is funny because the people at home can't see this, but the Dark Knight is sitting on my floor.
Yeah, right beside the camera.
Which I found really funny because that was not intentional.
He's staring me down because he knows I'm not appreciative of him.
Alright, here's why I love the Dark Knight.
He's not the hero I need right now.
Here's why I love the Dark Knight. A, it's Batman, and it's Batman done really well. B, there's this movie called Heat. Michael Mann did it. It's an excellent, like, crime movie.
Oh, there was a new one.
It was like the 90s, I think it was. Yeah. Heat is fantastic. And Heat was one of the main influences of The Dark Knight. And I think that Christopher Nolan actually out-heated Heat, which is an accomplishment in itself, because Heat is awesome. But,
it's the heat.
It's the heat.
Yeah.
But, like, I just... Like, alright. Heath Ledger as the Joker. Fantastic. Perfect. Good word. Perfect.
Didn't he pass?
Yeah.
Alright, well, respects to him. Rest in peace.
Yeah, and I'm actually, I don't want to go too much into detail about the Christian Bale Batman, because I actually like it, but I know there's a lot of people that don't. But I like it. It was paced well. It's a little overstuffed, like in the sense that
it's a hard pillow.
It's like Two-Face is in it, and I love the Two-Face is in it because Two-Face is great, but like he needed a little more time.
Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like I understand people saying it's a little overstuffed, but that doesn't bother me. I just think it's an excellent superhero movie, and like I remember watching it in theater and goosebumps. Like it felt special to me from the opening scene, like the opening like heist with the Joker and the bus and just all these guys. It felt so special to me, and that continued the whole movie.
See, I don't remember much from it because it didn't really stick with me. I remember seeing it in the movie with my father, and it was an important moment because me and my father, at that time, I really liked it. But it just... If anything, I like the Joker better than I like Batman, which most people do, but it just never stuck with me, the Batman series, because there's so much change and so much differences in it that I can't keep track of it all.
That's a shame, because the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is godlike to me. It's godlike. But yeah, it's funny because like I got these like foreign movies and stuff, and then it's like my third favorite movie is Batman.
Yeah.
But that's the thing you're gonna learn about us is our individuality, I suppose.
Well, here's my third place movie. Like my third place movie is another trilogy that's not finished. Well, it's not even a trilogy. It's more along the anime style, but they took all the original TV episodes and all that and made a movie out of it, and it's the Evangelion remakes.
Right.
The movies, the 1.11, 2.22, and 3.33, and the way they're going with it, I thought it was fascinating because I wasn't heavy into animes, and I still am not. Mm-hmm. But one thing I remember from it is I showed my redneck cousin it. Like, straight redneck. I love the guy. Trust him with my life. And he's like, he works on big trucks, loves big trucks, puts stacks on his trucks. And then he sits down and watches it. He loved it. He absolutely loved it. He asked me for a copy of it, to get him a copy of it, because he didn't know where to get it. He was bad with the internet. I got him it. And like, just all the the hidden things in the plot, how deep it gets, how interlaced they are, and it sets something up in the first movie that you don't learn till the third movie. Yeah. They're just bouncing back and forth, and the way they did it, it's fabulous. I can't wait for the rest of them to come out.
I haven't seen them. It's actually always been something I've kind of wanted to see because I like anime. I don't watch a lot of anime shows. I can watch some here and there, but like I watch more anime movies like Akira.
I can say it's a
Yinro.
good introduction into anime. If you're not a heavy anime person, if you want to try and get into it, it's a good introduction. I'm not going to send you to the average ones like where people say go watch Sword Art Online, go watch Fairy Tail. I'm not interested in that stuff.
Nah, I've seen amazing anime movies and stuff, and I have no interest in that kind of stuff. But yeah, that has been one that I've always kind of wondered what the quality is, and that's a fun pick. I didn't see that coming, and I like that. Like I actually look forward to hearing people's picks when I do these lists, like more so than giving my own.
I was looking forward to yours till you said Batman.
Taste sucks.
What bad taste.
I wish I had more to add to that. Good pick anyway, because God damn it.
I feel like it'll stir some conversation in the comments below with the topic of Evangelion, because there's so many spin-offs of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was huge for a while too.
Yep.
Especially that was big. That was big business.
Oh, yeah.
Amongst anime fans. I used to post on a forum that was like heavily in anime.
The only reason I'm not getting into depth with it is because of the fact that it's not finished yet, and I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
Because I could spoil so much right now, and it would ruin your experience.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting pick.
Yep.
My number 2.
Uh-oh.
This is a fun pick, I think. Rocky Balboa. Not the first Rocky, which I love, because I don't know if I ever told you this, but I know I must have. I love Rocky.
Yeah,
that's my series.
You stated that.
That's my jam.
Rocky came out.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah.
Rocky is my jam. Like some people have Star Wars, which I also like. Some people have Lord of the Rings. Some people have, whatever. Rocky's my shit. And I was so surprised by how good Rocky Balboa was because it came out mid-2000s, I think. And when it was first announced, of course I was like, woohoo, a new Rocky movie. But I was like, man, you guys already kind of have your 5 movies, and they decline in quality. I'll admit that, even though I still like them. But he came back with Rocky Balboa, and it's got to be one of the most tragic movies I've ever seen. I guess spoilers, even though it's a decade old, but it's his wife's dead.
Yeah.
He's all this stuff is happening to Rocky. He's old now, and what I love about it, besides the whole movie's great in the same way that Rocky is great. But what is awesome about it to me is when you look outside of the movie and see Sylvester Stallone, because Stallone's old now. He's not ancient, but he's old.
It's a fun play on the fact that he got old.
Yeah, and this movie is tackling his own issues with getting old, and you feel it. And I'm a Rocky.
I gotta say, that was a great pick too. I'm not as heavy as a Rocky fanatic as you, but it's you can't ignore the classics. That's if you were to mention Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. And
I couldn't disagree with you.
Most people would pick the first Rocky movie as their favorite, which is fine, which is completely fine. But I don't know, this Rocky Balboa just gets to me. Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. But that's my number 2, I think it is. And we're sued.
Yeah. Copyright infringement.
Copyright infringement. Your YouTube video is going down. But you're number 2. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty here.
Okay, my number 2 has to be a movie I've watched about 8 times now, and I plan on watching it more. But it's just, it makes you think so hard. It messes with your mind so much, and it plays on the multiple genres perfectly and the different time periods perfectly. And it has to be Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, I know. I once you said genres and times, that you got.
And the way it's every time I sit down and watch it right now, I learn something new about it. I learn that I was wrong about my past theory. I was wrong about this. And then I rewatch it and I'm maybe I was right. No, that's a hint to something else. It's like the Illuminati for me. That movie is. I will sit down and watch it and I'll try and pick it apart, but it ends up picking me apart.
Word.
Yeah.
No, I was just completely caught off guard because I just learned something about myself.
What?
I saw Cloud Atlas, right? I really liked it.
Yeah.
I don't think it didn't get nearly as much respect as it should. Because some people felt it was like, again, like overstuffed.
I can say
overblown, right?
Like, I'm gonna say one thing, and I'm probably gonna offend people, but if you're brain dead, you won't understand the movie at all.
There's a lot going on in that movie.
Yeah. You need to have some IQ to understand the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but what I learned about myself was that like I rate everything on Criticker. I didn't rate Cloud Atlas, so there's another movie to my list. Yep. I didn't rate it though, so because I wanted to throw down on my like opinion because like I forget things a lot, so I wanted to read my Criticker review, so I was checking it, but. I mean I like the genre blending because I like how it just fucks with everything like that. I don't remember individual scenes. I do remember that it was a fairly emotional movie.
It essentially plays on the fact that you can live multiple timelines that overlap each other. Like how, no matter what, like the main character in it, like the main person you should be following in it, he goes through every sort of life you can think of. One life he's black. One life he's a black female who's in the 70s or 60s or whatever it was, who's just a reporter getting through life, having a great time. Next life, he's a gay male who is back in like the really old time. I can't remember the years.
Yeah, I'm not going to help with this.
Yeah. It just plays it right. And it shows, like, with every character, I feel like it also shows that the main ways you can die, too.
Yeah.
Because they all go out in a different way. So it shows you that no matter what you're being thrown, you can, like, you've already been through something worse.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just one final kind of comment on that, because it's the one thing I really remember about the movie is, and we've talked about this before, the theme song, like the end theme.
Oh, the theme song brought tears to my eyes.
It's so astoundingly beautiful.
Yeah.
That it's like I'm listening to it, like, because it's on my Spotify, like, playlist.
Yeah.
Like, my main playlist that I listen to. And I'm just like, this song is crushing.
It makes you feel. There's no lyrics in it at all. It's very classical, but it pulls on your heart.
The way it escalates, because it starts off a little, like, doesn't have as much going on in it, and then it builds, and it builds, and it builds, and it's just like, that's so good. I have the book, Cloud Atlas. But I've never read it. You can borrow it.
Oh, yeah.
I've never read it. I got it like when it came out because people were like, this is a really cool book, a lot going on. I was like, that looks like something I'd want to read.
They portray the movie really well. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm trying to find the vinyl version of it. Like the version of the song,
Yeah, that's a great song. I know my number one. I don't need to check.
Uh-oh.
Alright, here it is. And now I can finally get to the thing that I was hiding when you mentioned Sky Captain as well. I feel like this might be an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like some blood might be shed. But the number one, Gummo, by the excellent Harmony Korine.
Oh, and it's sitting over there on the
it's sitting there. It's funny because two of my favorite movies are both sitting here.
Yeah.
But all right. I gotta start off by saying that I understand that a Harmony Korine film, especially his more challenging ones like Gummo, are not for most people. Roger Ebert, again, because I like him, as I said, he had a quote where I don't know which movie he was talking about, but he was talking about how like 95% of all people will not appreciate Harmony Korine and this movie. But he also said, because I wanted to write this down, and it's a quote, but you just have to deal with it. Before I even talk about the movie, I'm just defending it. Korine, this would have been years ago, obviously. Korine, who at 25 is one of the most untamed new directors, belongs on the list with Godard, Cassavetes, Herzog, Warhol, Tarkovsky, who did Stalker, Brakhage, and others who smash conventional movies and reassemble the pieces. Harmony Korine is a real thing, an innovative and gifted filmmaker whose work forces us to see on his terms.
Yeah,
and that's
I agree with that. Seeing on his terms.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But that's why a lot of people aren't gonna like it, and that's fine. But like, what I like about it is, first of all, I find it funny. I find it funny in a very dark way. I find it beautiful in a very unconventional way. Because the thing is, Harmony Korine is a talented filmmaker who can imagine things on the screen.
Yeah.
But he's not like, but his form of beauty is not like, I'm going to show you trees. It's like his form of beauty, especially on Gamma, was a lot different. And it was very...
I'm going to show you a tree full of dead cats. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very experimental. I mean, the one thing you can say about it, whether you like it or you dislike it, is there is not a movie like it.
One thing I can say about it, like the one important thing I can say, is it points out the horrible side of this world.
Yeah.
That people shun, that people neglect to see, that people turn a blind eye. I liked the movie.
Oh, did you?
I liked the movie. I liked it.
It makes me happy.
But it's a movie I can only watch once.
That's fair.
It made me so uncomfortable. It made me, like, I sat down and I was watching it with my friend, and he was fine with it. But the whole time I was watching it, it was like, it was showing me stuff that it disturbed me. It put me in a disturbed state of mind. Like, I couldn't sit still. I was constantly fidgeting. I walked outside, my friend looked at me and he says, your pupils are huge right now. And I'm like, this movie pushed me to my limits and made me crammed the stuff I've neglected to see, and I understand it. And it changed me a bit, but the stuff I neglected to see in my life and acknowledge into my brain without me wanting it. But I now accept of it.
But it's like I'm gonna come back to that. I can understand why people don't like it because there's not really much of a narrative. Like if you're going into this movie looking for a real plot, it's not there. It's a collection of images, and that's what Korine views movies as for the most part. Like Spring Breakers has a kind of a narrative, and his movies have narratives in a very thin way.
Yeah.
But he views movies as like a collection of images. So every scene is like a kind of its own isolated thing.
Well, I don't feel right talking about any of the scenes because I do recommend that anybody listening to this should try to sit down and watch it. And yes, it's all right if you have to turn it off 10 minutes into it or even at the beginning, because the beginning is so controversial. The beginning is so disturbing, it made me uncomfortable. And it's not even a scary movie. It's nothing like that. It's just showing you real life.
And there's grosser movies. Like there's movies that like I don't want to give people the wrong impression. This is not a blood and guts horror movie.
It's essentially a movie about these two kids.
Yeah.
Just these two kids. And their daily life, what they live through.
Yeah, and I mean, I do want to talk scenes, but I won't on the podcast.
No.
Because it's something you kind of got to go in a little blind, but afterwards I want to talk to you about a couple scenes. But I did want to make like one an observation.
But if you are the type of person to go pick on somebody on the internet about them saying something that you didn't like or being overly PC, which I don't like these days, which I'm sounding PC, but everybody should just calm down. Yeah. Don't watch it, because you're just going to freak out and be bitching on the internet about it in about 10 minutes.
It's funny because it's not a liked movie, and it made like no money.
No.
Like it made no money whatsoever.
Well, it made $12 from you when you bought the movie.
Yeah.
I probably got a check in the mail, and he was just like, what the... Holy crap, that movie made money?
Harmony Korine, with as much as I've talked about him, should start paying me. Because I'm such a nut hugger. Shit, I lost it. Oh, I'm gonna try to be quick here. Your reaction is amazing to me because like when I lived in Ontario, it was my last weekend there, and I was sitting there with my housemate and my ex-girlfriend, who I was still friends with, and I had been going on like people like watch Gummo with me, and I don't want to watch Gummo. Last weekend, Tyler, you're leaving. Let's watch Gummo. All right, let's do this. Right, so I sit down and watch Gummo.
A great leaving impression.
Yeah, my friend Alan had like a kind of similar reaction to you in a way.
It bothered me for a while after. Like I actually had a dream about it that night. That I woke up in the middle of the night and it was hard for me to fall back to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Alan was like he asked me questions like I'm thinking. I'm like what? should I feel sorry for these people? And he sat in the kitchen having like a mental breakdown. Not a mental breakdown, that's extreme. But he had like a breakdown about the movie. Kind of like what you're describing.
I went through the exact same thing. Like, I sat down on the couch after it. My buddy was like, hey, you want to go outside? You want to go, like, do this? Blah, 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 let's go hang out and all that. I'm sitting there like, give me a minute. You have to give me a minute. I need to think. I need to process this.
Yeah.
It's bothering me. And it's like, I thought I was just going to start sitting there and rocking back and forth.
And that's what Alan did. But then my ex-girlfriend, you know what she said?
What?
That was the worst movie I've ever seen. And that's all she said.
And that's why she's your ex.
And I loved both reactions because like I'm very deeply invested in the movie, but at the same time, like I understand why people would hate this movie. But I wanted to make one quick thing before we go to number one about Gummo versus Sky Captain, which I found kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I went on Rotten Tomatoes, which I know isn't like the best way to figure out what
Rotten
things.
Tomatoes, I don't even care about.
But like it gives you a good idea. Some like, you know, the numbers can get wonky, but this was interesting to me. Gummo rating for critics 33%.
Yeah.
Right. But the audience 73% liked it. Now, mind with an average rating of 3.6 out of 5. Mind you, the user ratings are significantly lower than Sky Captain because nobody saw it. It's only 22,000, right? Sky Captain, 72% of critics liked it.
Yeah.
So like a lot more critics liked it. Audience 46%.
So
liked
it was opposite.
with an average rating of 2.8. With mind you, with like
a little
4 or
less
5 times the amount of people that have seen it. But
Yeah.
still, I found that very interesting.
The critics liked it.
Yeah.
People didn't.
Yeah, and then it's like opposite. I wanted to share that. It's not a big deal, but I read it. And
That's
I was
very
like,
interesting. But it just showed like how we both
Yeah.
differ. Essentially, you're the critics. Like we're both critics here. I'm the one that likes Sky Captain.
Yeah.
You're the one that likes Gummo.
Yeah, it was very
Meanwhile, I
interesting.
don't. It's just shows the difference, but how much difference can be between two people.
It was just cool. Alright, get to your number one. Cause
My number one. It's a very touching, like heartwarming, sad story, and it's probably one of the only Stephen King's movie he didn't make into a horror movie, and it's Stand By Me.
I gotta see this. I wish I would have seen. If I would have known it was this high on your list, I would have tried to sneak that in there.
But Stand By Me is a lovely story about these 4 friends who want to be a town hero and try and find a boy that went missing in town. So they go on this long 3-day journey. They lie to their parents. Like, this is the type of growing up I had, so that's why I could connect with it. You lied to your parents. You snuck out. They went on a long journey where they camped in the woods. They snuck into a junkyard, got chased after, telling stories through the narrative the whole time. And they learned life lessons to the point that, like, the ending was so perfect for it that it brought, like, it made me feel, and it had tears in my eyes.
gay. No, I'm just doing the internet.
That's not PC.
Why are you doing? You
But-
cry?
It was such a heartwarming movie that I feel like anybody watching should watch this too. It's fun for the family.
Yeah, I gotta watch it, man.
You should watch it.
I gotta watch it.
Like, and the great news, like, one of the main characters in it, he's in Star Trek, and I can't remember who else. Yeah, but he was in Star Trek. He was
In the new Star Trek?
no, in the older ones. He was the one handling the comms. He's also in shows up in Big Bang Theory occasionally, and Sheldon hates him.
I think I know who you mean.
Wesley.
I can't remember that. But you have to.
I'll figure out who it was, but yeah, that will forever. There will never ever be a movie that tops that for me.
I gotta see it. You're not. It's funny enough. You're not even the first person that I've met that thinks that's their like. I mean, I know you said things can change, but you're not the first person who thinks that that's their favorite movie. Like, I met a girl.
Apparently on I am like the just Rotten Tomatoes got a 91%.
Yeah, that's.
So
and, like,
that's great.
Like, even though Rotten Tomatoes is wonky, when you see a movie's getting 91%, there's a good chance that it's good. Yeah, I need to see it. I wish I could share more on it.
It had Will Wheaton.
Ah,
Will Wheaton was
Yes.
one of the main boys in it, and he shows up in Big Bang Theory as a person Sheldon doesn't respect.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I got like, it is a movie I want to see. It's kind of a movie blasphemy of mine, I guess, where I haven't seen it. But there's so many movies that it's just hard to see them all. That was interesting. I'm surprised that like Tron Legacy wasn't on there. With the,
See, I love Tron and all that, but it wasn't as influential on me.
So should we take a quick intermission?
Yep.
To throw in another commercial. I don't even know what I'm going to edit in between, but no, we'll be back in a second.
Oh yeah.
All right, we are back, and we're going to try to make this a little quicker because I know that we're getting up there in time. But we want to try to get through our top 5 TV shows in a reasonable amount of time. So who wants to start this one off?
Did you start last time?
Yeah, I started last time.
I ended.
You got any honorable mentions you want to quickly?
Oh, there's so many honorable mentions for this show.
You got any
Mike Tyson's Mysteries. That's a great show. I sit down and watch that all the time, and I'm glad there's more seasons coming out for it. I hope. Last time I heard. And just one other honorable mention. I haven't seen any of it yet. I'm waiting for it all to come out. Is Game of Thrones. And I haven't managed to get any spoilers, which please don't put any spoilers in the comments.
Oh, no.
That's going to happen.
You just doomed yourself.
Yeah,
don't read the comments.
No, I can't read the comments now. But I'm waiting for it all to come out so I can binge watch it.
You know, I like Game of Thrones. There was actually a video I did with my friend where we would recommend things or talk about things. And I actually, when Game of Thrones first came out, I was like, you know, you guys gotta start watching Game of Thrones. Like, this shit is awesome. And I really liked it, and I don't know if I watched up to season 2 or 3, and then I just stopped watching it. And there was no reason. I just stopped watching it. So I'm like 3 or 4 whatever seasons behind now.
I think they're on season 6.
I need to get through it.
They're ahead of the books now. That's what I know.
It is a legit show. For some reason, I stopped. Anyway.
Okay, but here's my number 5. I don't think you've ever seen it. It's an anime.
Okay.
But it's called Gurren Lagann.
What is it?
Gurren Lagann.
Nope.
Or Gurren Lagann.
Never even heard of it.
But my friend introduced me to it. And he's like, it's just an average ass anime with mechs and all that and stuff like that. But it was unique. My definition of it is it's essentially sitting down at the first few seasons. One of the characters, the main character's bro, he's sitting down watching Shia LaBeouf. The rants he'll go on, he'll face him. He holds a sword up to a mech. The first time they lived underground, humans lived underground because they're being hunted by beastmen, and a beastman breaks through into their underground area. They've never seen one before. First thing he does is he holds up his sword to it, and he goes on a rant, dumb rant. He's calling the thing dumb and everything, and it just turns around, goes to swing at him, almost squishes him, but he gets saved last second, and he is the force behind that series that gives everybody motive. He's the dream. Everybody in the show follows his dream. He's essentially the reason the humans fought back.
Okay.
And I gotta say, are you gonna watch this? Or
I know I'm never gonna get around.
The final season where they're fighting the spiral forces, because everything's based on spiral force in this.
Yeah. And
how there's the neutral people. I can't remember the name of them. It's been a while since I watched it. Netflix took it down. And there's these beings that try to oppress spiral force, which humans naturally have. And it gets to the point at the end of the season where they're facing them in a mech. The main character drives a little mech called Gurren, and he conjoined with his brother's a bigger mech called Logon with this power of the spiral force.
Yeah.
And I got that backwards, but he joins his mech with his brother's mech, and then his brother's mech joins with another mech, sits in that mech, and joins their battleship. Their battleship turns into a mech, and his mech sitting in it, controlling it, while he's sitting in his little mech, controlling it. And then that one joins it with their spaceship, so it gets in and sits down in the spaceship. So you got a mech driving a mech being driven by a human. And they're fighting through galaxies. They're standing on galaxies fighting. and he grabs a galaxy and fucking throws it like a ninja star at the enemy. And they're just ripping up the universe. But in the end, humanity survives and prevails.
It survives. Happy ending.
Yeah, what show doesn't follow the standard happy ending?
Yeah, there's so much. I hate when people get mad at like movies or really shows or whatever where
the bad guy
such
wins.
a Hollywood ending. It's like, get used to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool when the bad guy
Become a director.
Yeah.
Solve the problem.
Like, it's very cool when a bad guy wins, but it's like...
You become a director, and then you end up being the guy who made Gummo. For being different.
He made no money.
No.
His biggest success is Spring Breakers, and even that didn't make a shit ton of money. But, anyway.
What's yours?
I got a few honorable mentions, of course. Undergrads, Twin Peaks, 30 Rock, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Heroes, because the first season was amazing, South Park, Alf, and Archer.
Oh yeah, Archer.
I knew you like Archer, so I kept that.
Danger Zone.
All right,
do you want honorable mentions? Because that's how you get honorable mentions.
Oh, that was so gloriously terrible.
I know.
All right, but my number 5. This is gonna like expose me as like a redneck, I suppose. I have to do it. WWE Raw, like wrestling.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
You and your redneck opera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I acknowledge, like, to people who hate pro wrestling, I acknowledge how silly it is. That doesn't mean it isn't badass.
Oh.
But,
I've seen it live once, and then after that, it's like, I can't watch this no more.
Really?
Yeah, after Subway charged me $20 for a sub.
Yeah. Live wrestling is fantastic. But, I've just been a pro wrestling fan since I was a kid. And I got out of it for a bunch of years. And I don't think Raw today is real great, but like the prime of Raw.
I'm surprised one of your top movies wasn't Scooby-Doo and John Cena.
No. Anyway, I don't want to go on too much about pro wrestling. I just have a lot of respect for pro wrestlers because it's dangerous. And yeah, it's a little silly. Yeah, it's supposed to be a little silly. But like, man, you know what I hate? Wrestling's fake. How can you watch it? It's like... Cause
you never
the same way I watch
happen.
movies.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, like shit, like it's acrobatic, like it's like live theater meets like gymnastic meets like superhero stuff because wrestlers are superheroes basically. Like they don't teleport and shit.
No,
but like
they can take a
they have these 20-minute fights
which
where
takes
they're
a lot of
falling
energy.
Stuff. Yeah, so like I always got love for wrestling, so like when I was doing my list I was like, you know what, I gotta put Raw on there. And WCW Nitro, but that's not around anymore, but in the 90s Nitro was awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, wrestling. It was my number. We're starting off real good here. A show that I've never heard of on your end, and wrestling.
You won't hear my next one. You don't. I've talked about it to you before.
No.
It's an amazing series that I just started getting into. I'm just finished season 1. And it's a show that just popped up on Netflix, and I seen it one day. Which Canadian Netflix isn't good at all.
No.
And it's called The Hard Water Wars.
Okay.
Which I like learning about World War II and everything. It's such a topic. Like, I'll sit down and watch documentaries before I sit down and watch a TV show. And it's basically a documentary TV show about the Germans were the first ones to start research into the atomic bomb and the atomic power by using hard water as not a catalyst, as a way to improve fusion, nuclear reaction. And it just shows you from all of the sides. Like, you get to watch how the British planned secret missions to try and blow up the bridge to the hard water plant that was producing the hard water for them. And then you watch Heisenberg, one of the most greatest minds of his time, him in the process of inventing the first nuclear reactions and all that. And it's interesting. Then you get to see British British spies and all that being hunted around in Germany by the SS troops, and they're sneaking along and they're having a hard time living because they're barely eating. They're essentially eating moss to stay alive. And it is a good show if you like sitting down and learning.
Learning?
Knowledge.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I have nothing.
It's something you'd like to watch. It's all right.
It's all right. It's only my number 4.
It's my number 4, but like if I were to say it through somebody else's point of view, it's all right.
It's all
but
right.
I like it. I enjoy it.
Personal preferences. You?
Personal.
Well, I wish I had more to contribute. We're getting through these pretty quick. My number 4, which is a pick that I never really thought would make it into my top 5, but when I really sit down and think about it, same with wrestling, it's like I kind of have to. But like Siskel and Ebert and the movies, just a review show. You know what I mean? It's just two like respected critics arguing about movies, and yet like I love it. Like they years ago they put all their like reviews and stuff on a website, which I think it actually isn't around anymore because I mean they're both dead. So they probably just took it down.
So
and you could just watch any review that they did. And I remember being out there, and I would just sit, and I would just watch the review movies, like old ones, like, and I was like, I'm so enthralled by it. And that's no surprise to people who know me because I review stuff all the time. Yeah. And just the fact that you and I are basically doing the same thing, where we're just sitting here, like not reviewing,
shitting on movies,
talking on, yeah. Like so, I like when I was making my list, I was like, I kind of have to put that in there because I could sit down today and just rewatch them talk about movies. And the fact that they were both real personalities.
Yeah.
Like, they were friends and whatever, but on screen, they went hard on each other. Like, they were not afraid of being, like, not went hard on each other. That sounds homo.
You're the one who brought it up.
But, they were not afraid to be like, you're an idiot. Yeah, fuck you. You're an idiot. Which is something I can't personally do. I can do it jokingly. But
you fucking suck. I can say that right now.
Yeah, your taste is terrible. But
at least I don't watch dog shit and call it a TV show.
But yeah, so I had to put that on there. So that's my number 4.
Alright. I don't know, I think only my number 1 you might know. Like, my next one you might know.
Yeah, TV's been kind of quick for us.
Yeah. But my number 3, which I feel like it stays in number 3 because it's another one, like, it's the equivalent of my gummo. Yeah, like, I'll sit there and watch it and it'll disturb me. Because this is what it's meant to do. Since when has Hannibal Lecter never disturbed somebody?
Yeah.
And it's got to be the Hannibal Netflix series.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting there watching it, and me and my friend would binge watch it, and how much it messed with my mind, and, like, just, the fact that it's before Red Dragon and it leads up to Red Dragon, the original book.
Yeah.
And how, like, Hannibal was working with the FBI and all that, and Will Graham was a specialist with them who was assisting in the investigations, and how he messes with Will Graham and manipulates him into the monster he is to this day. But you don't know if he's good or bad. You can't tell which way he's going to go. And how Hannibal just manipulates people to do his murdering for him, and prepares meals and feeds them to the FBI and to his friends. And how he's very classy, too.
Yeah.
Very classy, which I love about it, too. He'll be sitting there, he'll present you with this beautiful, luxurious meal that you think only the Queen of England should be eating, but she shouldn't be eating because it's somebody. And he'll give you the fancy French wine with an Italian something with it. Culture. He's very into culture. And he likes eating culture too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen it, but I mean, you can't go wrong with Hannibal.
I watched it, like I watched Gummo with my best friend Rob. We sat there and we watched it, and Gummo didn't bother him, but it disturbed me. We sat down in his basement and watched Hannibal, season 1 and 2 straight. And we went upstairs and his mom looked at him and went, "Are you okay?" Because he was so disturbed by it.
Yeah.
And I was perfectly fine. I'm not a maniac or anything like that. Well, I don't know yet.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
are.
But that's going to be my number 3.
All right.
Yeah.
Jim, we're getting through these quick because we don't watch each other's shows.
Well, movies have a bit more topicalness to them.
Yeah.
TV shows go by really fast. Like, you got Breaking Bad. Nobody talks about Breaking Bad that much.
Yeah, and I also find that, like a movie, you can be like, "Yo, Tyler, check this movie out." And it's like, all right, this is an hour and a half of my life. But a TV show, it's like, check out this TV show. Yeah, okay, all 6 seasons of it.
Yeah. But it's like, movies can be more gluing to you because they're permanent. TV shows can change.
Yeah.
And TV shows, there's so many of them. That's why I'm saying these top 5 for me are top 5 as of now.
As of now, yep.
Because there might be another TV show that comes out that I like better.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. Like,
Yeah.
my number ones usually stay. Like, it would take a lot to topple. Like,
TV
my
shows
number
are like
ones
a
of
new
anything.
flavor of pop that comes out for a limited time.
You're right, because like there's a lot of shows like right now, like I'm watching, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and stuff, and I probably could have put them on my list, but I was trying to think, in a few years, are those gonna be? It's Always Sunny almost made my list, so but anyway, so my number 3 is actually a mini series. It's called The Decalogue, and it's just like a really artsy mini series, like 10 episodes or whatever. Because I think the Decalogue means the 10 Commandments. I'm not. It's something like that. Anyway.
He's getting religious.
Getting religious.
Oh shit!
What was interesting about it was, and I can't pronounce the director's name, so I'm
we
not
just
even
gained the
gonna try.
Christian crowd.
You're welcome. We got lots of people now.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce the director's name. Can't even spell it. But he's a very talented director, and what was interesting about the 10 Commandments, outside of the just beauty of it, like it's very meditative. You think about it. It's kind of slow paced, but it's deliberately so. He's actually not religious. He's either agnostic or atheist.
Yeah.
And he made, he either doesn't believe in God, or he's only kind of open to the concept of it. I can't remember if he's atheist or agnostic, but he's not even religious, and he's not even religious, and he made the most beautiful religious show ever. Because it's not religious,
What, it's
teaching you morals.
It's not like the show Christ.
Yeah. You don't even know really what episode is based on what commandment, because it's loosely, and it's just a way to examine the world through the idea of the 10 Commandments, not he's not trying to be hey, you should be religious. And that's what's great about it. It's religious people would love to make something as touching and evocative as this, but
they're too busy taking over small countries and forcing. No, I mean nothing.
Nothing. Now we just lost my favorite.
Yeah,
Alright.
Sorry.
And I know you don't have a whole lot on that, so just go to your...
oh, really?
Yeah, you're but you're sitting there actually, I saw that, and that's my number 1.
Oh, shit. No, my second one's gotta be a little enjoyment for me. Just I get all the enjoyments, because it's almost close to home. And it has to be the series Republic of Doyle. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Well, it's about this private investigator. His name's oh shit, did I forget his name? I did. His last name's Doyle. And he drives around. It's based in Newfoundland.
Okay.
Which is just the next island over. And it's based in Newfoundland. And he drives around St. John's. He gets these ridiculous clients that get him into so much crap, but he puts himself through stress and shit all the time. He's bad with women, but he loves this one lady throughout the whole series that he just does not manage to do the right things, and his job interferes. He gets kidnapped for a season, and he rips around St. John's, Newfoundland in a GTO. Just squealing around, having a grand old time, getting drunk at the bars. I know the Newfoundland accent in it sounds faked, but it's just great. I enjoyed it. I sat down and I binge watched it. I think that's the first thing I ever ended up binge watching.
Yeah.
It was, I liked it. I just gotta say, it's my number 2.
Yes, my number 1, actually. I like it more than you. I've never heard of it. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, you gotta one-up me.
Yeah, I gotta one-up you all the time.
I could do things better than you.
I don't got anything to add to that, so good pick, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Good pick, I suppose.
Yeah.
Alright, my number 2 is Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, I've heard of that. It never really drew my attention.
That caught on.
And then it dropped off.
Yeah.
It disappeared quick.
But that show caught on, and I remember, I avoided it because, I'm an anarchist, and when I see anarchy in anything, I think they're not going to represent anarchy. I'm so tired of people saying anarchy is chaos that I can't look at the
There's a reason there's 2 different names.
Yeah, I can't look at the word in mainstream culture, because they're always just hey, that's anarchy, meaning that's chaos, and that's just not what it is. Anyway, so I avoided the show because I saw Sons of Anarchy. Oh, good, another show that just uses anarchy as chaos. Woohoo!
Yeah.
But then I got over myself, and I watched probably the 4th or 5th episode into the first season, I decided, okay, I'm going to give this show a shot. Why the hell not, right?
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like, I was so invested in the characters, first of all. It's a very melodramatic show. I'm not going to say that it isn't, but it's like...
I thought it was people riding around on motorcycles shooting up other motorcycles.
Yeah, and it's very melodramatic about it, too. Like, but it's endearing. Like, it's very emotional. It's easy to get into these characters. And what I liked about the first season was they actually talked about anarchy in a real way. Like, they quoted Emma Goldman and stuff, and they kind of abandoned that as time went on. It became less about that. But I stuck with the show because I was so invested in the characters, and, like, there's scenes in it that just haunt me. Like, to this day, it's just like there's...
Like, what's one of those scenes?
Well, like, in the first season, I think it was the first season, like, Jax Teller, his best friend, Opie.
Yeah.
They thought he ratted. So they had to snuff him out, right? And Jax didn't want to because he was his best friend, right? But he was like, man, Opie ratted. We're going to have to kill him. What happens is they think they know where he's going to be, that he's going to be in his truck. They shoot him. Opie's fucking wife was in the truck, not Opie. So they snuffed the wife. And of course Opie was demolished, and they kept that a secret of what exactly happened for a long time. And like that scene, and there's lots of scenes like that in that show where it's just like,
oops.
It's just like,
so they did.
God damn, that just happened. Well, Opie died eventually for other reasons. Like seasons in. No, we found out there was like a whole conflict a few seasons in over that whole thing. But it's just a haunting show. Like, there's never been a show that I've been more emotionally invested in. So, no, I'm crying. They killed Opie's wife.
Yeah, I was never interested in Sons of Anarchy because of the fact that, like, sure, I like a little bit of anarchy, but I just like keeping to myself, keeping quiet. So I'm more of a peacekeeper. I don't like fighting. I stand up for myself. I'll stand up for the people I love. But it's like I just don't believe in fighting all too much. That's why I'm not an MMA or a wrestling fan.
I'm not gonna comment on. I'm assuming you were talking about anarchy there. I'm not gonna comment on that because I don't want to make this like a political thing, but you kind of mentioned anarchy and fighting in the same.
Yeah, I know, but I like. I know they're two different things.
But I don't want to turn this political.
I'm not an anarchist or a fighter.
But anyway.
Yeah.
That's my number 2.
That's your number 2?
That's my number 2.
So you just dropped your number 2?
I just dropped my number 2 in my own house on the floor.
It was a big, wet, messy number 2, full of tears. So my number 1.
I hope I know this one.
You will, because it was big. It was huge. At least I think it was. Now, my number 1 for TV shows, and it's going to probably stay as number 1 forever, is House.
Yeah, but I never watched it. I know this one, though.
Yeah. House. Because he's a cynical fucking asshole. And he does it so well. And how, like... Essentially, it was the Doctor drama before Doctor dramas. Yeah. There's so many spin-offs of it now. Like, you got Bones, you got other stuff. And I know General Hospital was out before or whatever.
No,
it's a different... two completely different just before you start complaining in the comments. But, yeah, I liked it because the shit he put his friends through, that he never really let them feel like they were his friends. He always kept them at a yardstick distance, used them when he needed them, and like played his cards right all the time. He planned things out perfectly because he was a maniacal asshole who was addicted to Vicodin. And he would harm himself. Like, he went through such heavy depression, he harmed himself in it and all that. I got so emotionally invested into his character alone and what he was doing that it's like, I fell in love with the character he became.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's gonna be my number 1 forever.
Yeah, my number 1, which we'll get to, is probably gonna be my number 1 forever too. Like, it would, like, I'm sure you can relate, it would take an awful lot to topple House for you, I imagine.
Yeah, like, I don't feel like
some truly special would have to, like, come out and be like, holy shit, but...
I can say Breaking Bad would have made it up there, but I'm rewatching it again. It's in my honorable mentions, for sure.
Breaking Bad... not in mine.
I feel like I gotta give Breaking Bad the attention it needs because it dropped off the face of the earth.
Let's talk Breaking Bad because we have a few minutes. I mean, because after this we're just gonna close up shop and end it. So let's just talk about Breaking Bad.
I gotta go get some tinnies.
I like Breaking Bad. I like Breaking Bad just fine.
Yeah.
I don't love Breaking Bad. And I know people are like, okay, I started watching it once. I watched a few episodes. I did like the fact that he was cooking meth in an RV. Like, that was funny to me. Like, that's a cool idea. I like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the show that much. Like the way, like, the delivery of all of it was not exceptional to me. But I went away.
Yeah.
And then eventually I'm like, man, I gotta finish Breaking Bad because everyone fucking loves this show. So I go back and I rewatch those episodes, because I only got a few episodes in, and I watch and I keep watching it. Season 1 goes by, okay, that was fine. Season 2 goes by, that was fine. So eventually I go up to a friend who really liked the show, and I go, when does this show become the best show ever? Which I know is going to make some people think, well, you were expecting it to be the best show ever, and that's why you didn't think so. But that's not true, because my number 1, which I'll get to, it's also called one of the best shows ever, and I went in expecting that, and it is the best show ever. but anyway.
I'll probably know it then.
So I'm like, well, when does this become the best show ever? It's like, I can't remember, is there 5 seasons? I think there's 5, isn't there?
Yeah, I remember season 3, the script for it, somebody smashed in the writer's car's window and ran off with it.
Oh, jeez.
And then got caught later on in the day in a bar drunk bragging that he stole it. But I thought that was funny.
But like...
And then they get a spin-off series called Saul. I'm waiting to watch
get to that.
Yeah.
So they say the guy says the show gets really, really awesome in like season 4 and season 5. He's like, it's like the best thing ever. So I'm like, okay, cool. I watch it, and it definitely picks up in season 4 and 5. I definitely think it becomes a much better show, but it's still not the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. And I don't think a show should take 4 seasons to get really good.
I feel like it goes up at a steady rate.
It does, but like, and I'll compare it to my favorite show when I get to it after when I'm talking about it. But like, my favorite show is Brilliant from season 1. I know it's all subjective, but like, I was into it from season 1. And Breaking Bad, but I will give special credit to Bryan Cranston. Yeah. Because that role was legendary.
Oh yeah.
He was legendary. I will give all respect. Yeah, I will give all respect to Cranston's performance in that. Like, that is deserving of the credit.
Like I can relate to it because it's like I don't have a family. Like I have my parents and all that. I don't have a kid. No. Don't be making the cops show up at my place. No.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You're getting me swatted.
Yeah, I wanna be the star of this podcast.
Like he's a family man. I'm very classic. Like I pride myself on being a classic person.
Yeah.
When I have kids in the future, I will probably do anything for them. I'll probably do anything for my family. I don't care. Like, as long as my family's well off, I will protect them.
Yeah.
Like, it's basic instincts. They play on some of that in that series.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You never saw Better Call? You haven't seen Better
Call Saul?
No,
I've been watching Breaking Bad just so I can go watch Better Call Saul.
I'm a couple episodes behind. Because I just haven't been watching a lot of TV lately. I have my shows are just stacking up.
Oh, it's
like 3 or 4 episodes of It's Always Sunny and Brooklyn. I have
Better Call Saul your number 1.
No.
That'd be very ironic.
No.
Okay, what's your number 1?
But I really like Better Call Saul. I like it more.
Really?
And I don't know if that's because it's the 2 characters in the show that I really, really like.
Oh, the
Mike and Saul.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because that. Maybe it's because I'm already invested in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Breaking Bad, you met the characters, so maybe that's why I think it's better. But I'm actually I look forward to Better Call Saul in a way that I didn't when I was watching Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But no, it's not my number 1. But I got mad respect for Better Call Saul. I'm really digging it.
Okay.
But my number 1 is The Wire. You ever hear The Wire?
I've heard of it. That's it.
It's the hipster pick for best show ever. Yeah, no, I don't know if it's hipster,
I was waiting for your number 1 to be like, and my number 1 is, proud as fuck to say it, My Little Pony.
My little brother loves My Little Pony.
Yeah.
He's a brownie.
Whatever. People can be what they want.
I got respect for My Little Pony. It seems to teach good things. So I'm I can't hate on something like that. I can't bring myself to be like, you're teaching good things to people. So
Yeah.
fuck you. But no, The Wire's kind of like, it's that pick of like elitist assholes like me who are like, you think Breaking Bad's good? Why don't you watch The Wire instead? Even though they're two completely different shows.
Oh, yeah.
But I've said that to people when they're talking about Breaking Bad. I'm like, nope, The Wire's better. Like, I'm that guy.
Fuck you, mine's better.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Okay, The Wire's kind of a weird sell to people because, like, it's a cop show.
Yeah.
Which I usually don't like. Because cop shows very often they follow a format of, we're going to solve this case.
Yeah, no, they're...
Each episode. And I don't like that. I don't like that format. Like, if you say to me, like, a show, and you're like, the show's really good, the characters are really good, and you're like, but it's an episodic format where they solve a crime every week. I'm like, no, I'm not interested.
I can say something that's probably going to make like a good portion of any followers we have upset. Maybe all 4, but
well, there's at least going to be one person listening.
Yeah, I'm gonna make. There's always that one guy who gets upset, but if it's, I really hate shows that are like that. Like I tried watching Dexter.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
No,
it drove me crazy because it followed the exact same plot.
Yeah.
It was like you going to ride the same roller coaster 100 times. Yeah, you predict everything. You're going to be like, okay, in about 2 seconds we're going to take a right bank, go down, go up a little bit in a left turn, and then come down, then we'll be at the station.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially that's what it was with all Dexter. I am surprised it got that many seasons. It was not worth the money.
Yeah, my problem with like that format of like solving crimes or doing whatever every episode is like the time spent solving this crime could have been spent on character development and like a bigger story. And that's what annoys me. Like when half an hour of a show is dedicated to stuff that isn't really like developing your characters, it's just kind of like I don't find that. Like, I'll sit down and I can watch certain shows, like one of my parents and stuff, and watch things. I'll occasionally sit down and watch, like, Rookie Blue with them, and it's, like, it's a pretty decent show. But, like, I like something that where the story's going the whole time, like, the whole arc throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
And The Wire does that. The Wire...
It's what House does. Like, I know House does follow a format a bit, but it's, like, I felt like later on, and more when you got more invested into it, later on into these seasons... They were more worried about building up the backstory than actually following the scales. Like there was later on in the series, there's like multiple episodes in a row where they're just not solving anything. They're just figuring out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. Like The Wire is like there's the same characters throughout the 5 seasons, unless they die. You know?
It's like X-Files.
It's the same characters, and they're all dealing with the same issues, and there's big stories throughout. But every season does kind of have a theme, which is cool. Like, it tackles real-world issues.
Yeah.
It's actually, like, it's gotten so much credit for... I want to go back to what I said a little earlier, how it's a little bit of a hard sell to people when you mention it's a cop show, because people expect cop shows to be a certain way. And in comparison, The Wire is, I'm going to say boring, because, and I don't find it boring, but here's the thing about The Wire. The characters are wonderful, but there's many scenes of them just wiretapping people. And there will be a lot of people who will be like, that sounds really boring. But like the guys who wrote it, can't remember the guy's name, it was so realistic that I read once that like criminals used to watch The Wire to find out what cops did. And like it's the best written show ever because it's just written so well that it's like it's a book. Like, that's what it's been compared to. It's been compared to a book. And I love The Wire. Like it's so good.
Well, I'm gonna have to say there's one honorable mention. I forgot to mention this, and Tyler's gonna hate me for saying it, but everybody, I recommend you go watch it. It's Danger 5. Pretty sure it might be a Netflix exclusive, but one of the funniest series that catches you so off guard with its like stupidity that it's a 10 out of 10 to me.
I was sitting here thinking a few minutes ago, Danger 5 isn't on Jordan's list. There it is. It showed up.
I forgot about it, but it's not worth following on to. It's more or less like my gag movie. My gag TV series. If I want to laugh, I'll watch that.
I remember even before you talked about it, like I fake an anger towards it when you mention it, but I
Yeah, I
actually,
know.
but like I remember reading about that before I even met you, I think, and I remember thinking that show sounds cool, like I should watch this.
Yeah.
But then I never did.
First season based in the 70s.
Yeah, like
next season based in the 80s.
It seems like a very endearing show, and
Which
I hope that sometime
they're
like
making more.
I hope sometime I get to sit down and actually
It's short.
watch it, but I just don't. It's hard, man. It's hard to find the time. But yeah,
Well,
that's our top five. And before I go, I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning. We know that the quality of the audio isn't ideal,
yeah.
but we're poor, and until we, until we can get a better setup,
We're not poor. We're making this on a low budget right
Yeah.
now because we're working at the same time and we have lives. We
Yeah.
just wanted to start off with something and put a pilot out essentially.
Yeah.
Something to little like kick the tires essentially.
And I don't know how long the quality's going to be like this. I mean, I might go down and try to get like an area mic. That might sound a little better. I don't know.
Get some actual foam.
Because we're recording it on my video camera, which is fine, but it's like I know that people, I mean, if people listen to this, they might.
Oh no,
you know,
that audio is not in 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
No.
Like I know, we
No.
know that the
No,
audio
no.
isn't the best. We get that, and it might be like that for a while. But I appreciate anybody who sticks with it and has listened to this and
We appreciate it.
wants to listen to the other one, because doing this podcast has been a lot of fun.
Yep. And feel free to try and be a part of it by giving us some top 5 like options.
Yeah, we'll write them down.
Ask us questions. We'll try to do answering questions next time. If you
Yeah.
need to know what Canadians do, yes, we live in igloos.
That's
we
the thing.
eat poutines every day.
Like-
we drink Tim Hortons right through our veins.
So like that's the thing. It's like, I mean, we've talked mostly about media this episode, but we want to talk about other stuff. It's just and if you give us topics, that'll make it easier for us.
And our
'Cause
children
then we
are
don't
born
have-
with hockey sticks.
Yes, I do. I know this girl from like Denmark, right?
Yeah.
I met in like a chat room, and she's cool. And she was like, "You live in Canada? I love Tim Hortons." And I was like, "That is amazing." This random chick from Denmark.
10 out of 10.
Tim Hortons. I can't get it obviously, but when I was in Canada, I was like, Tim Hortons.
Yeah. Our actually alright pastries that aren't overly fattening they sell there. Which speaking of that, I want a free donut. I'm gonna go get that
I
today.
might go up it later after supper and get a frosted cinnamon roll. And with that said, Tim Hortons, why don't you sponsor us?
Yeah, please. We want coffee and donuts.
But yeah, so I said I was gonna say welcome to the first ever Media Podtour. But thanks for listening to the first ever Media Podtour. Like we said earlier, we were gonna try to get this up on a regular basis, but due to jobs, working different hours, and him having a life, not so much me.
Well,
Because I
alright.
I have no friends. Nope, you're my friend.
We wouldn't go that far. No.
But yeah, thank you very much. You got any closing statement? No?
No, not really. I'm thirsty for coffee.
You're such an intriguing person.
Why?
No.
Okay.
Alright, see you later, people. Enjoy your lives.
Yep.